Kevin O'Leary is calling for a 400% tariff on China. We're gonna watch this here in a second. Let's pull it up. 400% tariff on China. Now this is like 400% tariff. You almost might as well just ban trade with China at that point. But let's watch. Let's see what Mr. Wonderful has to say.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that
I
look
want
like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Well, hold on a second, Kevin. Well, I hear you, but hold on. If we're talking about people, the average consumer, not necessarily the head honchos of businesses all across the globe, can they withstand the pressure of that sort of tax on the goods?
It's short-lived. There will be
but what's your timeline compared to, you don't know the average American's timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive
400% tomorrow morning, cheese on an airplane to Washington to cut a deal.
For sure. And this is something interesting that I think a lot of people aren't talking about, a side benefit of the tariffs, or a side negative of China, I guess. Kevin O'Leary is talking about the intellectual property theft from the Chinese government on U.S. corporations. So we're essentially just giving all of our innovations to China by producing everything there, which is a problem on top of the national security, on top of the economic ripping off. It's a problem, right? And we should try to solve this problem, and we should try to divest from China. If this wouldn't be a problem if in the 1970s and 80s we put tariffs on India, China, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and India that were a counterweight to the difference in labor costs. That's why our corporations went there. Like, corporations went there because they saw slaves. Well, they said, all right, cool. You're telling me I can pay somebody 50 cents an hour, and look it up, because the average pay for a Chinese sweatshop worker is 50 cents an hour. You're telling me I can go to China and pay somebody 50 cents an hour? I'm legally obligated federally to pay them $7 an hour in the United States. In most big cities, I'm legally obligated to pay them 15, but I can pay them 50 cents an hour in China. Fuck, I'm going there. You know, I can make such massive profit in China by marking everything up extremely high, while I'm paying, people are assuming that the labor costs a lot of money, but it doesn't. They're willing to pay these things. And this is very interesting because I saw a very interesting tweet yesterday, and we'll bring it up. The funniest outcome of tariffs would be that nothing changes much for either the US or China, because it turns out Americans have been ridiculously scammy middlemen and sold stuff with like 500% markup, so the markup drops to 396% and consumption stays the same. This would be very interesting. Now, I think this would still hurt China regardless, because if you tariff them 400%, American producers are going to come to the United States, and they're going to produce things, and you probably still wouldn't notice a difference in cost, because they're not using, they're using slave labor in China, and then charging people as if they weren't using slave labor. Daddy just proved my point. What was your point? If this was your point, then I agree with you fully. So check this out. So somebody looked into this, and they found a 1,000% markup between Amazon and Alibaba. So look at this. This is, what is this? Creatine, monohydrate, whatever. Okay, I don't know what it is. Some kind of supplement. Excuse me. Some kind of supplement here. Monohydrate. It's even worse than that, this person says. You can reverse image search any product on Amazon, and it's literally a 1,000% markup from Alibaba. So here you have this monohydrate creatine being sold on Amazon for $21.50, produced in China. On Alibaba, it's $1.98. $1.98. The production value on this is clearly not very high. The labor cost is clearly not very high. So if you produce this in the United States with a smaller profit margin, you'd be fine. And we could probably still charge around the same price, right? Because even if $15 of this is labor cost, you're still walking away with $6 of profit, $6.50 of profit. That's pretty good. Per thing, how many of these do you think you sell? You got 46,966 reviews right here. Times that by 5. Let's see. What is it? That's just the reviews, by the way. That's just the people who like this enough to drop a review on it. 46,966 times $6.50. That's $305,000. $305,279. Huge profit. And you're also not shipping it across the world. Exactly. When you bring production back home, you're not going to be paying shipping prices. And your shipping prices are baked into this cost. They're also baked into the Alibaba cost. So imagine what this would be if you didn't have to ship it across the world. It'd be like, man, like $1. It'd be like you get a 50% reduction just there. Imagine what this would be. I'm probably not that much cheaper, but still, regardless, you're still paying for the shipping cost. I mean, they must be producing this for almost nothing. How long do you think it takes to make one of these things? An hour? In a sweatshop, that's 50 cents. I mean, what do you have to do? The factory probably refines the creatine. You know, it's probably automated. And then the factory workers, fill the cans or screw the lids on? Like, I don't know, right? 50 cents. Probably do this all with machines in the United States. And then the labor cost is nothing, and you don't see a difference in price, right? Because the biggest argument right now is like, okay, we stop using slave labor in China, and then you run into a problem where the price goes up because now you have to pay people like livable wages or minimum wage or whatever, right? That's the argument. It's like now the price of the product goes up because you have to pay people more money. But I don't think that's necessarily the case, because I think if we came to the United States, we'd use more automation, and it would probably be robots doing most of the job. So I don't think that you'd run into that. But regardless, if you did run into that difference in labor cost, increased price, I don't think it matters. And the reason is because that doesn't justify using slave labor. Paying cheaper prices does not justify slave labor, right? In the United States, we banned slavery in the South. In the year 1860, through Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, what did it do? It crumbled the Southern economy. Now, I would argue that slavery was holding the Southern economy back for decades anyway, but it crumbled the Southern economy because it was completely reliant on slavery. Their terrible economy was completely reliant on slavery, and it crumbled, okay, because they didn't have slaves anymore. Reconstruction, the North had to rebuild the South. Now, was that a bad thing? Well, the economic ramifications were a negative, but does that mean we shouldn't have banned slavery? No. Slavery still should have been banned, regardless of the economic ramifications of banning it. The average manufacturing pay in China is $7, not 50 cents. Not true. Let's look it up. Gov.info.gov. So this is the United States government making this claim. Let me blow it up so you guys can see it a little bit better. The base wage in Shenzhen is 53 cents an hour, $4.27 a day, and $21.34 a week, despite being forced to work 70-hour work weeks. Workers report being routinely cheated of nearly 20%, $8.31, in overtime wages legally due to them each week. This is equivalent of being cheated out of 2 days' wages each week. This looks like this one is specifically referring to like the manufacture of toys. Blow it up a little bit. Yeah, the base wage. The workers are housed in primitive dorms, 12 people crowded into each room, sleeping on double-level metal bunk beds, and fed company food the workers describe as awful. It doesn't have to be this way. The Mattel Barbie toy was made in the factory. It was made in that factory. The Barbie, blah, 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 whatever. We don't care about Barbies. But anyway, yeah. Regardless of how you dice it, these people are incredibly underpaid and oftentimes abused and taken as slaves by their companies, which is a problem. I'm at average in China. Yeah, sure. Well, there are different places in China that have different specialties, right? So, like, just because the average wage across China is like whatever. So, like, okay, basically, if you're looking at a situation where the average pay is like $4 an hour in, I don't know, Beijing, for example, right? But it's 50 cents in Shenzhen. You're going to go to Shenzhen, as a U.S. manufacturer. You're only going to China because you want cheap labor. Now, $7 an hour is probably cheaper than most of America, but 50 cents is extremely cheap. This is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to go here, and these corporations are cheating them out of their wages, too. 20%. So to deny that there's slave labor in China being abused by American manufacturers is just wrong. It's not true. It's absolutely happening. And we're playing into it. And I think that we should try to move away from it as much as we can, regardless of economic ramifications. But I don't think that the economic ramifications will be what people think they are. So in 2023, the average yearly wage for manufacturing workers in China was approximately 103,932 won, around 15,000 USD. A slight increase from 97,528 yen, around 14,000 USD in 2022. Yeah. Average wage for manufacturing. But average, again, like, this doesn't mean that the majority of people working for American producers are making 15,000 US dollars a year. But regardless, 15,000 USD is still like nothing. Divide that by 8,760 hours in the year, and you get an hourly wage of approximately $1.73. Nice, Bradley. That's awesome. Thanks for doing that quick math. Let's see what we got next. So after the Alibaba markup, we've got this. Amazon is canceling inventory orders from China due to tariffs and is considering making a $15 billion expansion in their U.S. warehouse network to reduce reliance and oversee inventory flow. This is huge. And if you don't believe Wall Street Silver, just give me one moment here, because we have a Yahoo Finance link that will say the same thing. Amazon cancels Amazon cancels orders from China after steep tariffs, plans $15 billion in U.S. expansion. It's awesome. They told me it would take years. They told me it would take years for these people to come home. Turns out, it doesn't take years. Turns out it takes one day. It takes one day for American companies to come home after Daddy puts tariffs on them. That's all it takes, as it turns out. I thought it would take years. That's what the left told me. They were wrong. They're liars. Let's read this article. April 9th, Amazon, NASDAQ-Amazon, has canceled several inventory orders from Chinese suppliers following the implementation of steep U.S. tariffs, according to Bloomberg report. The canceled shipments include consumer products like scooters, beach chairs, and air conditioners. The move comes as the Trump administration's new 104% tariff package on Chinese imports takes effect, putting an added pressure on global supply chains. In 2024, the U.S. imported close to $440 billion in goods from China, much of it consumer merchandise. Now, that is about 13.4% of everything we import comes from China. That's less than Canada. Surprisingly, I don't know how. I thought it would be more like 70% and far more than Canada. Bank of America analysts noted in a research note Wednesday that the company's sales brushed off the 2018 tariff rebound, but the broader 2025 measures present a new ballgame for the cost structures and logistics. The firm lowered its price target on Amazon from $257 to $225. Bloomberg also reported that Amazon is considering a $15 billion investment to expand U.S.-based warehouse network, likely to reduce reliance on overseas inventory flows. We did it, guys. They're coming home. Steve Madden came home like the day Trump got elected. They're doing it. They're coming home, just as we predicted. Wow, we're right. Who would have guessed? How about 70 million voters probably guessed? Cannot believe it. Cannot believe it. Exactly as we planned it. Crazy. And you know, something interesting I want to talk about is I really get hassled here and told that this is going to have devastating economic ramifications. People are going to lose their 401ks. Their 401ks are going to plummet. Tommy, the guy who said Trump supporters when he fixes something he broke. People like that. Tommy was actually arguing with me in the comments today, saying that everyone's 401ks are down. My 401k is not down. I don't think Tommy has a 401k. I don't think he's ever had a 401k. I don't think he understands how 401ks work. Because if your 401k goes down and then the market goes back up, what does the 401k do? It goes back up. He doesn't understand how 401ks work. I have a Roth IRA, I have a traditional IRA, and I have a 401k. None of them are down. They're all up. I also have an investment account where I buy stocks. That's also up. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, you don't understand how they work. In addition to that, I'm also an avid Amazon shopper. I order so much stuff from Amazon. Everything in this studio is from Amazon, pretty much. I mean, like, I don't know. This is from Amazon. This sticker is from Amazon. This microphone's from Amazon. This boom arm is from Amazon. I actually bought the computer on Apple. This is from Amazon. This is my switcher, my little switcher. My big switcher over here, my ATEM, that's from Amazon. This is from Amazon. This is from Amazon. These are DJI mics. My lights here. Look, check this out. Amazon. This is from Amazon. The TV's surprisingly not from Amazon. All of my Samsung hard drives that I record my shows on, Amazon. This plant right here, this is from Amazon. This tripod, Amazon. Let's see. The globe, Amazon. The vases, Amazon. The clock, Amazon. All of these books, Amazon. I actually bought this painting in Jerusalem. These books, Amazon. This plant, Amazon. This is a folder from the Reagan Foundation. All these books, every single one of them, Amazon. This map behind me, Amazon. This little jack right here on the shelf, Amazon. All of the commie books I've got over here, the volumes of Capital right there, those are all Amazon. All of these books right here, this is like stuff written by Stalin, Lenin, Marx, etc. It's all Amazon. This plant, Amazon. What's that little thing there? That's a light. The thing in the middle is a light. Amazon. Those vases, Amazon. 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 Books, Amazon. This desk, Amazon. Everything in this room, the bricks, those aren't real bricks. Those are not real bricks. That's vinyl. Amazon. I'm not even kidding. The shelves, Amazon. Everything in this room is from Amazon. I shit you not. The camera that you're watching me on, Amazon. I'm not even kidding. It's all from Amazon. The sword I showed earlier, Amazon. Look at this. Check this out. Sword. It's right there. Amazon. See that Spartan helmet? Amazon. See that little, where is it? How do I point to it? That sculpture, that Greek sculpture right there? Amazon. The shelves they're sitting on? Amazon. All of it. This thing? Amazon. All of it. I can't even think of a single thing in this room that's not from Amazon. All of it's from Amazon, right? But they're like, oh, they're canceling shipments. Your prices are going to go up. Oh, no. Oh, no. They're going to go up for a short time, and then they're going to plummet down. Thank God, right? This affects me probably more than most in terms of Amazon. I love Amazon. It's my favorite thing in the world. I don't care. I'm chilling. Laura Loomer reposted this. I don't know if she's supportive of this. I don't know. But the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in China just posted this on X in response to President Trump's tariffs. It's a Make America Great Again hat that says Made in China. It goes from $50 to $77 because it got more expensive because it's made in China. There's just one problem with that, though. And that problem is that MAGA hats are not made in China. They're made in California. The Columbia Dispatch did a fact check on this. They call the rumors widely debunked. They talk about how every MAGA hat is made in Carson, California. This was a claim that was made in both 2016 and 2020 when Trump actively spoke against China. They claimed that his MAGA hats were made in China. They are not. There are some knockoffs that are made in China, but there are knockoffs of everything made in China. It is not specific to MAGA hats, and those aren't the hats that Trump sells. So no. This shows how smart these people are. They're not smart. They're idiots. Quick Google search. Y'all got DeepSeek in China. Throw that through a DeepSeek search. Are Trump hats made in China? No, they're not.